Hello. Welcome to this episode of Chicks in Charge Automotive Edition. I am Jess.
I'm Shasta.
And we are so excited to bring Ashley Negron to you guys today. Ashley go ahead and tell us what you do. You're with Roper Kia.
Yeah, so I work with Roper Kia here in Joplin, so I've known these ladies for a hot minute. And I get to work as the office manager. So you all know what that entails, which is just
a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. Yeah.
You wear many hats.
Yes, I do.
Keeping everybody in their place.
Yes.
We try most days. Yeah.
Well, we are super excited that you're here today. And as you guys can all tell, she is in studio with us. Roper Kia is a local store to us and also a long-time client of ours as well and wonderful friends. So we are super excited that she was able to make it in studio with us today. Ashley, tell us a little bit about what you do for Roper Kia and, how did you get into the automotive industry?
Yeah, so I've been at Kia for the last 6 years.
Wow.
Almost 6 years, I guess. I actually came to the automotive industry with zero experience. I knew nothing about the car business, other than the fact that my husband had actually been on staff at Kia for several years before then. He started in the parts department and worked his way up to being over the BDC. And found myself one day without a job and kind of a whole crazy thing. And right before that, Tussin had found out that the current office manager had put in her 2 weeks notice. And so literally 2 days before I found myself with that job. Awesome. Which was just, So we started having conversations. He's like, do you think this is something you'd like to do? Josh and I took time to think about it, to pray over it and just kind of figure out what do I want to do? I also didn't want to just take the first job that was offered to me. But also the thought of job hunting after 6 years was kind of intimidating too, because I'd been at my previous job for 6 years. And just realized, I could see that the dealership was changing. Tustin was fairly new to that GM position at Kia, and just decided I'm going to give this a go and see what happens. And here we are 6 years later. So
awesome. What field were you in before automotive?
So I worked at a local Bible college in the admissions department. So did recruitment, enrollment, walking parents and students through that whole process and all of those steps. And
how do you think that prepared you for the role you took on at Kia?
College parents, students can be a lot. And so you just learn to find the barriers and to find what's kind of standing in their way to making that decision or what's that holdup. And really, honestly, the car business is the same way. There's objections no matter what you're selling, even if it's college versus a car. But it prepared me to work with difficult people. Mm-hmm. There's difficult people no matter where you go. And also just kind of to not be afraid of hard things, to see what's in front of you and to step into that and to give it a go. And then just how to lead people. I started at Bible college in my early 20s. And so that was a huge time of growth. And kind of learning how to do that. And so I learned a lot of things that then transitioned into that leadership over that position. And the previous office manager, actually, the way that Kia was structured at the time did not have a seat at the table in the management team. Mm-hmm. And coming in, I said, no, if I'm going to do this, I want that seat at the table. Right. That was part of my negotiation into coming was I want this seat at the table. So, and that I think really helped establish no, I'm going to come in and I'm going to do this. I know nothing, but I'm going to figure this out. But I know people, right? Yeah. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to figure this out and we're going to just see where it goes. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that your husband worked at Roper before you came on board. What has that been like working alongside your husband in the automotive industry?
Yeah. So we've been doing it. He's been there almost, this will be 12 years in July. Like I said, started in the parts department and just has worked his way up now to director over BDC. So all things marketing, all anything to do with the website, works with you guys, all that kind of fun stuff. People ask us that all the time. How are the two of you? I would kill my spouse if I worked for them, right?
I would.
Everybody says I would totally do that. But honestly, I don't know. We love it. You think about going and doing something different and I'm but I wouldn't get to do that every day. But the funny thing is we don't actually see each other unless we make the time or unless
separate buildings.
We're in completely separate buildings. So he's down in our business development center. The office is where we are. And like, we're both removed from the main dealership. So we're not even like in the middle of everything. So honestly, unless we are in meeting or we make time to see each other every day, we don't. And rarely do our worlds even overlap. Like, you know, the things that sometimes there may be situations that come up from his BDRs or whatever that he needs more clarification or more context on, or reviews or things like that. But as a general rule, they don't really overlap, which I think helps keep that okay.
Right.
I
think that barrier a little bit.
And I think if they intersected more, we might see some fireworks because we're both pretty opinionated. But yeah, so it's really good.
Well,
yeah,
and the cool thing about that is that it's not just Roper Kia that you guys do business in together too. You guys have now branched out into owning multiple other businesses.
Yeah.
So what are all of those?
Yeah. So we, with our best friends, we own a sports car rental company here in town. Which is just super fun. It's been such a blessing to people, and we love cars, obviously. So it's just been a super cool way to just get to, I don't know, love on the community and expose people to cars that they may never own or ever get to drive any other way.
And I love that. And I want to do a quick plug real quick for that, because if you are local and listening, and I know that we don't have a ton of local listeners right now, but if you are local to the Joplin community area, we would love to do a shout out for Epic Drives. That is Ashley and Josh's company that does the exotic rental cars. Yeah,
it's super fun. Actually, the boys are flying to Austin today. To pick up a new ride. So we actually have 2 new rides coming. I can't. They're going to reveal it today. Okay. So one of them they're going to reveal today as they're driving it home.
I got lucky enough to do the live reveal on the last one.
Yes. The second one arrived yesterday, but it needs a new color. So we'll reveal it shortly. So
that's exciting.
It's just it's been super fun. So and then we own rental property. Okay. We have 30 doors. Wow. And we have a girl who is wonderful who manages all of that for us, because it got to be a lot. We did it on our own till about 21, and then it got to be like, okay, we are this is too much. And then we own the Salty Sloth franchise in Carthage, which if you're a local human, you know Salty Sloth well. They're branching out and getting there. So it's just been a really fun.
That's so awesome.
Yeah,
you guys have done a lot of that within the last 365 days.
Yeah. The rentals were 2 years. Yeah. Rentals are 2 years old. Salty Sloth was last year, and Epic Drives we actually started in 2020. Wow. So we do a little bit of everything out. It keeps us out of trouble.
You're so busy. And on top of that, you're also really big in your church and CrossFit as well, aren't you?
Yep. Yeah.
That's
so
crazy.
We go CrossFit every single morning. Well, I say that. We go CrossFit 4 days a week. We stay at home in sauna 1 day a week. And then we play pickleball with some friends on Saturday mornings, which has just been super fun. I surprisingly like and am good at pickleball. So
wow. Okay. I haven't played it yet.
Yeah,
I've heard it's fun. And I've heard it's really addicting once you get started.
It's so addicting. I am not, I lack hand-eye coordination. That was never, that was not my thing. But surprisingly, I am fairly decent at pickleball. We're getting there.
So graceful she is not.
No. I can trip over the crack in the sidewalk. So
I did that last week.
Yeah, I can.
So you had an accident not too long ago.
Yes.
And that kind of affected your CrossFit journey.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yes. So in September of 2020, our owner took our management team out to Little Sahara in Western Oklahoma. It's basically a giant, 60,000 acre sandbox. It's super fun. And so we were riding ATVs and all kinds of fun stuff through there. It's the last morning. We're going out for one more sunrise ride before we're going to go home. And Mr. Frost takes us kind of into this bowl-shaped area and says, go have fun. Just watch out for each other, whatever. Well, I'm riding Josh, whatever. I've not driven the entire time, but I've had a blast being passenger. I'm a great passenger. I'm
passenger princess.
Yes, I am a passenger princess. I'm great at it. And so Josh decides we're going to do some donuts in the middle of this bowl, but is not accounting for the fact that they're getting tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. And then finally it just slides and flips over and we land on the roof of the ATV. And somehow in the middle of all, it rolled my direction. I don't know if I put my arm up to brace myself. I don't know if I grabbed the handle. I genuinely at this point have no idea. Roll and I dislocate my elbow. Fortunately, I'm a lefty.
Okay. So it was your right elbow.
So it's my right elbow. But then we are an hour and a half from a hospital. We are also out in the middle of nowhere in the desert. Like
no cell service?
No cell service. No, like we're probably 25, 30 minutes in the ATV back to the campsite before we can even ever then take the hour and 30 minute drive.
Oh no.
So, and obviously like they had to, like we hung upside, I had a helmet on, like I was all those things, everything else was fine. Had to hang upside down for a while until they could figure out how to like get us flipped back over and then like hang on while they're flipping us back over. I've never been so close to passing out in my entire, like literally like everything felt like I was underwater. Like I heard people talking to me and asking things, but like it literally sounded like they were talking to me underwater. Like it was the whole world like closed in. I was like,
and you can't even respond.
I can't respond. I'm screaming my arm. Like I don't, anyway, Tustin has pictures and video from at some point, like of me. But hey, you read memories, right? So they get us back to the campsite and they get us loaded into somebody's car because we had ridden with people who needed to bring a camper back.
Oh, this just gets better and better.
So they load us into some car that belonged to the dealership and they get a pillow and like, you know, all the things. And of course, like my bone is like...
Oh, is it out of your skin?
No, it did not break my skin, but you can see it's like sticking out all over. Like, and it's already huge. So, Mr. Frost, actually, that Misty, like the windows are down and I'm just like, I'm breathing, I'm keeping my eyes closed. And all I'm thinking is like, make it to the hospital, Because I am in the most pain I have ever been in.
I can imagine.
Also, for the record, resetting an elbow is not like your shoulder or your knee, and the pain does not go away when they reset it. Like, that's not how elbows work. So Mr. Frost has been out at Little Sahara a ton over the years. Actually ended up in an accident with his thumb and a winch and like lost the top of one of his thumbs. Oh no! So he climbs in the back seat next to me. And he's like, "Hey, they're gonna take good care of you. Ask me how I know." So like,
only he threw in a keep it frosty.
Yeah. So like, you know, anyway. And Misty comes over and she prays over us and Josh takes me to the hospital. And also in the moment, everybody later was like, why didn't we let him drive her to the hospital? Like, because he's the one who had driven obviously, like, yeah. He also, we had,
like, was he okay?
Yeah, like all of that. So he has to go into the camper and pack up all of our stuff because we hadn't packed yet because we were going to have time when we got back before we had to leave. And so like our stuff is everywhere. Tustin did go into the camper and like help. He's like, what can I do? And I was like, you need to go check on my husband. Like, I know he's not okay. Like, you two know him. He's a very tender-hearted person, and obviously loves me very dearly. Yeah. And so that was a really big thing. So we make it to the hospital. He goes, the one time I speed all the way to the hospital and want to get caught so I can get to the hospital faster, I don't see
There's no cops.
No cops anymore. No. So we get to the hospital, and keep in mind, this is 2020, so it's COVID time. So we also don't know, like, is he going to get to go in with me? Like, what is this going to look like? Now, fortunately, this is kind of like small town. So the rules and things were not as strict. So he did get to go back in the room with me, and they took me straight back. Like the minute that they saw what was happening, they took me straight back. And came in, she examined me, she looked at me, all the things. She's like, okay, well, we're going to do x-rays, but I'm pretty sure, like, just to make sure nothing's broken. And she's like, would you like some pain meds? Like, yes, please. Yes. Yeah, that'd be great. So, Josh said no more had they like wheeled my bed out to go take my x-rays. She comes in with the pain meds. Of course, I missed that. So I go and we do the x-ray, and again, not on any pain meds. And so I'm having to like hold my arm and like do all the things. And like, I am trying not to pass out. I am breathing. I am all these things, right? She's like, you are a trooper. I'm like, what's my choices? Like, I don't have a choice. So they bring me back. Well, by the time they bring me back, because I've had all of this additional pain from moving it, now my blood pressure is really high and my heart rate is really high and all the things, and I can't take pain meds.
Oh no. One thing after another.
Yeah. So she's like, well, I can't give you, yes, we're going to reset it. Nothing is broken. So actually they said all of my CrossFit and being fit is what kept anything from ripping, tearing, breaking, and I'm double jointed. So that also helped.
Wow.
So the combination of those two things is what kept me from having really bad long-term, no surgery, no no cast, none of those things. So she's like, well, I can't give you ketamine to reset it and give you pain pills because your heart rate will drop too low. And she's like, but when we reset it, you'll be fine. Yeah. Turns out it's not. Turns out that's not the way that works. So no pain meds. She's like, take a couple ibuprofen when you get in the car. You'll be fine.
No. Oh, no.
So no pain meds. But of course, I'm like high as a kite because ketamine's great stuff. So they reset it, all the things. Tustin and my friend Holly were waiting outside of the hospital for us. They wouldn't let them in, but they were waiting outside and they're like, what do you want? I was like, I want tropical smoothie. No. That's what I want. And nothing else sounded good. I had eaten nothing by this point in the day. It's I don't know, noon to whatever. I don't know. No concept. But also start to realize I'm in a sling. I'm in a wrap. I don't know how to do anything one-handed.
Yeah.
Oh no.
How am I gonna, okay, this is fun. How am I gonna do anything? So,
put on my clothes. How do I go to the bathroom?
Clothes, the bathroom, my hair, my contacts. Fortunately, I'm a lefty, so the brushing the teeth was fine. But it turns out I put my contacts in with my right eyeball, or my right hand, because I learned from right-handed people how to put my contacts in. So I wore glasses for months because I couldn't get my, so no breaks. We thought no tears. That came up later. So then start physical therapy. Some of our dearest friends are a chiropractor and a physical therapist. And I said, so what can I start doing now? She goes, just move your fingers. You need to keep the blood flowing and cause I'm in this whole thing. So, go see the doctor. We start physical therapy. And I got the most incredible physical therapist who turns out I went to church with, did not know her. But we just immediately connected and she was incredible at helping me keep pushing. Mm-hmm. I'm the youngest person in this entire physical therapy room. Mm-hmm. But I'm I am getting my life back. I'm too active. Yeah. I'm 34 years old. I am gonna get all of this back.
Right.
And I wanted to be back to CrossFit. That is part of an outlet for me. That's, I've lost quite a bit of weight over the years. And so I'm not giving all of this up.
Right.
So she got me to a certain point till she said, I can't really do anything else for you. Insurance isn't going to keep paying anymore because you're back to mobile. Mm-hmm. Right. But I had lost all of the strength in my bicep, in my back, in my shoulder, so it had atrophied. All of that had atrophied, even though I was picking up 2 and 3 pounds at a time, but right. You're doing all these things. I still went to the gym every single day. I did lots of legs. I did lots of abs, lots of my left arm. I still kept up all of those things. Right. So then I spent the next year almost doing physical therapy on my own, with our friend who's a physical therapist to get back to CrossFit. And just was no, I'm not going to give up. Mm-hmm. I did my exercises every single day. She's like, you're one of the few people I know who actually does everything I tell you to every single day. I was relentless with doing those because I wasn't willing to give that up.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's still today we did a whole bunch of push-ups and it still is it's cold out. So it will never be the same, but I've figured out how to adapt and overcome. I still adjust CrossFit workouts a couple times a week just because I'm that hurts it. So I'm not going to do that. And that aggravates it. And I'm not going to do that. Coming back to CrossFit, we actually found I had a tear in my ulnar ligament, which was causing lots of nerve pain and all kinds of fun things. But the surgery for that is horrible and the recovery is horrible. And they said, you're probably not even going to have back your mobility you have now if we do surgery on it. So I did a couple of plasma injections. They take my blood, spin it, separate it, and inject that plasma back.
Okay.
And turn the needle to induce trauma so that when the body sends healing cells to it, there's already all of this plasma and it speeds that back up. And I did 2 of those in the next April and May. And I've had no problems. And
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So that's a huge insurance because they consider it experimental. But it's been I was grateful for a doctor who's like, you have options.
Yeah.
So
I think that sounds a lot like what Robin had done on her ankle too.
That's what I was thinking too, like the stem cell replacement.
Yep. And they said if it continues, like that's your next, that could be a next level with stem cell kind of stuff. So
okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So you didn't let any of this hold you back. You were back in the gym almost immediately.
Yeah.
And
I literally was at the gym on Monday, like doing something.
Saturday?
It was a Friday morning, and Monday morning I showed up to the gym, sling, but like I'm like I can at least walk, like, or I can get on a bike and use my legs, or I can do something, right? Yeah. But yeah, I had to relearn how to do everything. I had to teach Josh how to cook.
No, how did that go?
So this is funny in that before the accident, I was like, stay out of my kitchen. I love to cook. I don't mean that like in a male-female kind of way, but like I just genuinely love to cook and I'm really good at it. So just stay out of my kitchen. Just this is my space. This is me. Leave me alone. Well, then all of a sudden he has to be in it, and I have to teach him. And walk him through so we're not eating. I mean, like he could make eggs, oatmeal, and salmon. Like those were the things he could make.
I can't even make salmon.
So
I was going to say, you can mark one of those off your list.
Eggs and oatmeal, right? And I'm like, okay, we have to eat. So people did bring us food, but like we also eat a very specific way. Right. So, and so what's come out of that is like, now we love spending time together in the kitchen.
That's
and he helps me cook every single night. And that's just a time we listen to a book, or we laugh, or I don't know, just talk or whatever, and just enjoy that time together away from work, outside of the busyness and craziness of life. And so it came like a sweet blessing out of a really traumatic time.
So I have a funny story to piggyback off of that. So whenever I had mine and my husband's first daughter, Kinley, I had a C-section. And so I had he had his family come over or something, and I had him make dinner that night for his family. And I had laid out asparagus and chicken and some other things. And I go in there to check on how things are doing, and he's cooking this asparagus. And the first thing I do, I guess, was just walk past the trash can, and I realized the heads of the asparagus are in the trash can.
Instead of the bottom.
Instead of the bottoms. He was just cooking the bottom. Strips of them.
Like broccoli.
The stem.
No.
Oh, yeah. I was like, I don't think you're doing that.
I don't think you're going to want to eat that. No.
I wish that in my family one of us was the person who loves to cook, because neither of us love to cook, and so it's a fight every night. Like I think we spend half of our salaries every month on eating out because we're like, nope, not tonight. Nope, not tonight.
Nope,
not tonight.
Nope.
So, what do you think has been the biggest obstacle in your career since coming over to Roper Kia and joining the automotive industry? I hope I'm talking loud enough for people to hear me.
Hello. Can you hear us?
Can you hear us? I mean, obviously, like a massive learning curve, right? Like, knowing nothing. I like took basic accounting in high school, so like I know how to make things balance and whatever. But it's a whole different world. So I think I was thinking about this a few days ago of like, I felt like I had to prove myself. Like I had to prove that I belonged at this seat in the table. Like I'm working with these men who have all been doing this since they were 18 years old, and they found it as their first or second job. And this is it. This is all they've known. And for a majority of our management team, that's the truth. Like they've been raised up in Roper Kia. Like we have several managers that are like started at Roper Kia and worked their way up. Or have come from being in the auto world for 20 years. Right. And so I really initially felt this need to prove my worth and prove that I wasn't just there because I was Josh's wife.
The nepotism that comes with being in a position because of a relationship. Right. You have to work twice as hard.
Yeah. Or at least it felt like I did. Right. I don't think that anybody would have
we always
said that. We assume that, right? And as new managers have come into the team over the years, they're like, okay, well, how long have you been doing this? 3 years, 5 years, whatever. They're like, what? No way. Like I fortunately picked it up very quickly. Josh one day goes, you underestimate how impressive it is, how quick that you picked it up. I'm like, I mean, okay.
Well, and I'm sure that sitting in those managers meetings, I mean, Robin will attest to that too, that whenever she got brought on at Roper Kia as a marketing manager, sitting in those manager meetings was the game changer for her. Yeah. And getting to see all of the departments and not just focused on yours.
And I think that was, because I also brought in a new, fresh perspective. I came from outside of the auto world. So I looked at doing things differently. I looked at efficiency differently. I looked at how do we create processes and procedures. Like that's kind of my bread and butter. I really like that. I like the neat and the tidy and the orderly. And so, and sales, you all know, is anything but neat, tidy and orderly. And so how do we meld those two things together? How do we find this middle ground for the office to not hate you because your paperwork is horrible? And, oh, hey, we're selling 25 cars today. How do we like not overly rush and not do that well? So we've worked really hard to find that middle ground and to work together to figure that out. And so I don't feel that need to prove myself anymore. Like I know, and spending time with Danelle has very much helped in going, nope, I belong here.
I forgot that you were so close with Danelle. She's so Danelle. I got to meet her for the first time at NADA. Oh, she's lovely.
She's wonderful.
That was actually something I wanted to bring up because you posted recently that you're going through the totally gonna mess this up, but the Grateful Journal, Choose Joy.
I Choose Joy.
So what has that done for you? I know you've already done it over a year, right?
So this is a fun story. So she challenged us at the beginning of 2023. Our management team was so fortunate to spend all of 23 being mentored live twice a month by her.
Wow, amazing.
Which is like we were one of two in the country. Like you can't do it. That's just she doesn't do that. She loves Tustin dearly.
Yes.
And so we had that privilege. And so I started really strong. And then honestly, like we took a trip to Europe for 10 days and I didn't pack the physical book with me because I'm not hauling it. We packed in carry-on and a suitcase piece for 10 days.
Oh gosh.
So I wasn't hauling the book. Well, that then meant that I got out of the habit. Like I wasn't writing it down every day and I wasn't doing, like Josh and I would talk about them and we were exhausted. And then when I came back, I didn't stick with the rhythm and the routine, or it had kind of been hit or miss until about, I don't know, May of last year. When I finally just decided I'm sending these to Danelle every single day.
Mm-hmm.
The accountability to my husband, to text him, it wasn't enough every day. Even to test it wasn't enough every day. It had to be Danelle because I knew she was going to ask me, where is it? Why haven't you done it?
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing that I could say that was a good enough excuse for why I didn't do it. And that was the game changer. Like I still every day texted to her every single day. But I am not a naturally positive human.
That's probably the same way.
Yeah.
See, I would not have expected
I know.
That from you.
Well, I'm not. I may have put on this super happy front and all of these things, but in the back of my head, like my husband used to call me the balloon popper. Like, I could come around and go, yeah, but this isn't going to work because blah, 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 blah.
Who does that sound like, Jess?
You.
It's I think that probably comes with like a red personality.
Yeah, some of it.
We have to analyze everything before we can agree or disagree with something.
And usually it's I laugh and call it being like a realist, but at the same time it's like,
you're going on your brain.
Yeah. But I've discovered it was a really big, like it really was hindering my ability to choose joy in circumstances, to actually like, I started to realize like, I can't actually think of other solutions because I'm so stuck on the fact of why it won't work.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I can't actually look for anything good in what might work.
Right.
And it was becoming a very big hindrance and a limitation. Now I watched my husband do this. He's on journal number 4.
Wow.
So I watched him do this and watched the change and the growth in him, but was like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm great. I'm good. I'm fine. But also like realizing like I could let things destroy my hour, my day, my week, like even external circumstances, like things I had zero control over could completely derail my mood. If I get quiet, it's bad. And so like I could instantly like turn on the red rage or whatever you want to call it, right? And totally change a room because I was frustrated about something. I wasn't responding well. Several of those things. And I find like, I am a human now. Like it takes a lot to get me riled up. It takes a lot for me to go, okay. I'm like, okay, great. Well, what good, where, what, how?
Right.
Reframing for my girls, even when they get frustrated with customers or they've heard the same thing for the 20th time today. I'm like, yes, but okay. Right. Like all of those kinds of things. It has literally like rewired my brain to start to see the positive. And I see the positive before I see the negative. It has affected every part of my life. And I'm like, who would have thought 10 things every day, and then writing my goals every day, right? Like she has a spot for 3 goals in there, and then growth. So what are you listening to? What podcasts are you watching? What book are you reading? What did you learn today? So 30 minutes of growth every day. And our management team reads a book together, and every day we have to read or listen to 10 pages of that book and text our group exactly what our takeaway was. And it has led to some incredible dialogue and learning more about each other. And so there's that element. And then who are you extending grace to today? Right. So who did you give something undeserved to today? Who did you go, I'm frustrated, but I'm going to go, okay. Or I'm going to go, okay, great. Cool. Now what now? Like, it has been an incredible game changer in my life.
It's like forcing to teach yourself patience.
Yeah.
And grace.
Like
you said.
Well, and you think about now, great. Now you have a new Sorrento, right? Mm-hmm. You probably didn't notice any of the new Sorrentos in town until you bought yours.
I haven't seen a single one like ours.
Not your color. There are a couple of them, but like anytime you buy a new car, right? You didn't really notice that car until you bought it. Well, now it's on the front of your mind, right? Because now it's there. It's
familiar.
It's familiar. Thank you. That's the right word. And so that's when it becomes a habit and it's familiar. It's on the tip of your tongue rather than it's what you practice, right? So if you practice the negative, that's what's going to be readily accessible. You practice the positive, that's also what's going to be readily accessible.
Right.
And it's been like when people so what should I do first? Like I want to grow. I want to become this better version of myself. I want to do all these things. This, hands down, no questions asked.
So where can you get the book?
So you can do the I Choose Joy on Amazon is the place that you can get it for Danelle Delgado. I also think that Glenn Lundy's Morning 5 has a spot in his as well. And I don't remember if Robin has a spot in her Epic AF planner for some kind of something. I can't remember.
We have
it might be
like the
called something different. Yeah.
We have something up there, but I don't remember off the top of my head.
It's right in X amount in your 300 list. Read
10 pages.
10 pages. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have
some. Yeah. So it's just about putting that in front of you. But I highly recommend. And there's even there's ones that are like 5-year gratitude journals that you write down just 5 things every single day, and it's 5 years worth of days that then you can go back and just kind of flip through.
Oh, that's cool.
So one of the exercises that I did starting this year was I flipped back through, and it was so cool to watch all of them. Went, oh, these are all of the incredible things that happened to me this year, and I could tangibly see them.
Yep.
Without having to think back and go, what did I accomplish this year? What did I do? Or
because sometimes things are so small that from one month to the next you're gonna forget about that.
I can forget tomorrow.
Right.
So and everybody does it differently. So Josh does his in the morning for the day before. I do mine at night for that day.
Okay.
So it just kind of depends on your rhythm and your style. So yeah.
Interesting. I wonder which one is a little more accurate. Because if you sleep, maybe you have time to process everything.
I don't know. I think a lot of people say to start your day with it because it sets your tone. It sets that spike of dopamine and serotonin, and you're getting that kind of thing. I also think I had worked on changing my mindset to be more positive. CrossFit helps you learn how to do really hard things every single day, right? Running a marathon, how to do hard things every single day, and so I could find the positive in the accident. Even without having done the gratitude training enough to know, if I'm not positive about this and I'm not going to tackle this from I was going to choose not to blame Josh. I was going to choose to tackle it and do the hard and do the exercises every day. Or I could just be bitter and mad about it. I knew literally from the minute it happened, I have 2 choices. And which path am I going to take and which way am I going to step? So,
and I'm sure that helps your brain in the healing process too.
Yeah. You actually and I'm going to talk about this a little bit at the luncheon, but the neuroscience behind the habit of gratitude and what it actually does to rewire your brain. It actually helps give you better physical and mental health. It actually helps you tackle when hard things happen, because they're going to happen. It's guaranteed in life. They're going to happen. And then the serotonin and the dopamine spikes that actually happen in your brain. So it's cool that science is catching up with this, and you can see it in actual rewiring of people's brains. So
I'm very interested in doing this now, because I know that if anybody needs a mindset
you?
shift, it's probably me. It can rewire my brain.
And I'll tell you, like, we have several friends who, like, Josh and I will post about it, or we'll talk about it with people. And we have several friends who have started it, and a set of very, very close friends whose marriage was actually really kind of on the rocks. And they started this, each of them, he texts Josh and she texts me every single day. And they've been doing it since the beginning of the year, and slowly are seeing progress in their marriage. And they're doing awesome. The work, right? And they're digging in and they're finding, and I'm seeing the glimmers of hope in this. We're going to make it through this season, mm-hmm. right? And Danelle says when you're mad at someone, like, you need to go write out 30 things that you're grateful for about that person when you're mad
I've heard something like that before.
Yeah, she's like, it literally
the hardest thing.
Yeah, she's like, you may sit there all day, but you need to write out 30 things for that. She might even say 100, but and you will no longer be mad at them. Like, you literally cannot stay mad when you are thinking of the things that you are grateful for, because there's always, the gratitude will override the anger.
That's physically changes the channel.
Physically changes the channel, right? So our brains, you could get all kinds of nerdy. I get a little neuroscience nerdy. But Dr. Caroline Leaf talks about that, like, our thought patterns are like roots of a tree, right? And so what goes out and underneath, and the more that we dig into those same neural pathways, and the more we reinforce those same neural pathways, the deeper and entrenched and bigger that they become.
Mm-hmm. So where the tree is.
Mm-hmm. Which is right, exactly. So when you choose the wrong, literally, you're just reinforcing the wrong habits, right. And which is how addiction becomes such a big thing, because you're continually growing that. So you have to actually literally replace the habit with a new habit, and that's why it's so hard. Because you have to rewire your brain and literally create new channels and new mm-hmm. neuron pathways that actually change your brain.
Wow.
It's so fascinating. So you could YouTube spiral for a long time.
That's super day talking about this.
It's amazing.
So you mentioned a tidbit in there that you were going to be speaking about that at the luncheon.
Yeah.
So you are going to be our keynote at the Women in Automotive social luncheon that we're doing on March 6th in Kansas City.
Yep.
And we are so excited for it. Without giving too much away, tell us a little bit about what you have in store for that.
Yeah, so I think that I've thought a lot about, 6 years in the auto world isn't a long time, but I look at who I was when I started at Kia versus who I am now, and how I have grown and matured as a leader, and in the way in which I interact with fellow managers, and the way in which I lead my girls, all of those kinds of things. And so kind of have boiled it down to, like, what have been the biggest impacts on me personally that have actually, like, changed my life. And so we're going to talk a lot about those couple of things, one of which is gratitude, because it really has that daily habit, daily being the key. Like, doing it here and there, like, didn't really, I was on, off, whatever, did not rewire my brain. It's that daily disciplined habit. Mm-hmm. And so it's the to boil it down, it's the little decisions that we make every single day that are then either going to make us a better leader or going to make us a worse leader. And so it's those decisions and habits that we make every day.
I love that. And I'm super excited to have you as our keynote at this event. I know it's going to be perfect, and you're going to be perfect for it. I'm super excited that it is.
Perfect is a big word.
I think you're going to pull it off. You're going to be great. But I think that it's awesome that we're doing it during International Women's Month, and the theme of this being inspiration. So for you to be the person up there on stage delivering the keynote is super exciting.
Yeah. Well, thank you, girls, for thinking of me. I'm very honored.
I'm very excited to have you there.
Yeah, yes. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So if anybody wants to connect with you outside of this, where can they reach you at?
Yeah. So I have Facebook and Instagram under Facebook under Ashley Negron, Instagram under AD Negron. And then shoot me an email. I would love to hear from you. It's A Negron, and that's Negron @roperauto.com, and would love to connect with you and help in any way that I can.
So, and if you are local to this area or anywhere near Kansas City, our luncheon is going to be March 6th from 11 to 2 at NCM. And we will post all the information in the linkety-dink of this show. I don't know what that was going to be.
Description, she means. All right. Well, without further ado, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. In a world where you can be anything, remember to be kind because you never know what battles someone else is facing. So whenever you go out into the world this week, remember to light it up. I am Jess.
I'm Shasta.
I'm Ashley.
This is Ashley, and we're so excited that you were able to join us today. Thanks so much.